The night air carried a quiet tension, the kind that often follows after a long day in a small neighborhood. Street lamps flickered against the cracked pavement, casting patches of dim orange light across the sidewalks. For most people, it was just another Friday evening. Families had gone inside after dinner, kids had abandoned their bikes on the grass, and the steady hum of televisions carried through open windows. But for Maya Jackson, it was a night that would test her strength in ways she never imagined. Maya was a woman of calm grace and resilience. She had always been proud of her independence. Moving into this new neighborhood with her two dogs, Titan and Shadow. They weren't ordinary dogs. They had been trained as military service dogs, veterans of missions that no ordinary pet could have endured. Maya, having worked with animal rehabilitation, adopted them after their service ended. To her, they weren't just pets. They were family, protectors, and the last link to the work she had dedicated years of her life to. Yet Maya knew moving into this neighborhood wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't the most welcoming place for someone like her. The town was small, the kind where everyone knew everyone, and outsiders were treated with suspicion, especially if they were different. Maya was black, and though she carried herself with quiet strength, she felt the stares when she walked down the street. People's eyes lingered on her longer than necessary. Whispers floated behind her back, and sometimes doors closed just a little faster when she passed by. Still, Maya believed in hope. She believed that, given time, people would see her for who she was and not just the color of her skin. She baked extra muffins for the elderly woman next door, waved at kids riding by, and always greeted strangers with a smile. But beneath that hope lay a reality she could not ignore. There were those who carried hate deep in their bones, and to them her kindness was not enough. The trouble began with little things. Her trash can was knocked over more than once. Someone spray-painted crude words on her mailbox, though she scrubbed them off before the morning sun. One evening, she found broken glass scattered across her driveway. At first, she tried to ignore it, telling herself it was kids playing pranks, that maybe it wasn't targeted. But deep down, Maya knew this was personal. It all escalated on one fateful night. Maya had just returned from the grocery store. Titan and Shadow were with her, always alert, their sharp eyes scanning the shadows. She was carrying bags up the porch steps when she noticed movement at the end of the street. A group of young men, 5 of them, were walking slowly toward her. Their voices carried in drunken laughter, but there was something menacing in the way they moved, their steps deliberate, their gazes fixed on her. Maya's heart thudded in her chest. She had seen these faces before, always together, always watching. The leader was a tall man with a shaved head, a sneer permanently etched into his expression. His name was Cole, and the town knew him for what he was, a troublemaker with a reputation for picking fights. But tonight, Maya saw something more dangerous in his eyes: intent. Cole and his gang stopped at the edge of her driveway. "Well, well," Cole drawled, his voice dripping with mockery. "Looks like the new girl's got herself some fancy dogs. What's the matter, sweetheart? Afraid to walk alone?" The others laughed, but Maya stayed calm. She placed her grocery bags down carefully, her hand instinctively brushing Titan's head. His muscles tensed beneath her touch. Shadow growled low in his throat. "I don't want trouble," Maya said evenly. "Go home." But her refusal to cower only fueled their hostility. Cole stepped forward, his boots crunching against the gravel. "See? That's the thing. You move into our neighborhood, think you can just set up like you belong here? Nah, people like you don't belong here." The words cut, But Maya had heard them before. Racism was nothing new to her life. What mattered now was how she chose to stand in this moment. She held her chin high, refusing to show fear. Cole spat on the ground. Maybe we should teach her a lesson. Show her what happens when someone doesn't know their place. The gang circled closer, their shadows stretching across her yard. Titan and Shadow stiffened, their ears pricked forward, eyes locked on the threat. These weren't the careless barks of house dogs. They were trained guardians, reading every movement, waiting for Maya's signal. Back off, Maya warned, her voice steady, but loud enough to carry through the quiet street. I won't tell you again. But Cole only smirked. Or what? You'll sick your mutts on us? He motioned to one of his friends. Grab her groceries. Let's see how she reacts. One of the men stepped forward, reaching toward Maya's bags. That was the moment Titan lunged. With a snarl that ripped through the night, he positioned himself between Maya and the intruder, his teeth bared, muscles taut with the precision of a soldier. Shadow mirrored him on the other side, moving in perfect synchronization. The men froze, their confidence wavering as they realized these weren't ordinary pets. Titan and Shadow moved like trained operatives, their eyes locked on every threat, calculating distance and intent. Cole's smirk faltered. What the hell? One of his gang muttered, stepping back. These dogs, Maya said coldly, have seen battlefields you can't imagine. You lay one finger on me, and they won't hesitate. The tension was palpable. The gang shifted uneasily, but Cole, fueled by arrogance and hate, tried to push forward. They're just dogs. We'll handle them. But Titan and Shadow didn't wait. As Cole raised his arm threateningly, Titan lunged, clamping down on his jacket sleeve with the force of a soldier trained to neutralize threats. Cole stumbled, yelling in shock as Shadow circled, growling with such ferocity that the others scattered back. The gang panicked. Two of the men tried to pull Cole away, but Titan's grip was unshakable, controlled yet unrelenting. He wasn't tearing. He was restraining, just as he had been trained to do. Shadow guarded Maya's flank, every move sharp and deliberate. The scene had shifted completely. The hunters had become the hunted. You thought I was alone, Maya said, her voice carrying both fury and triumph. You thought hate would scare me, but you were wrong. These are not just dogs. They are protectors, warriors, and I will never be your victim. Neighbors began peeking out from their windows, lights flicking on as the commotion drew attention. For the first time, Cole and his gang were exposed, their masks of bravado shattered under the reality of trained military dogs pinning them down. Cole's men yelled, trying to save face, but their voices cracked with fear. Call them off! This isn't fair! Maya stepped forward, her silhouette illuminated by the porch light. Fair? Was it fair when you came onto my property? Was it fair when you tried to intimidate me because of the color of my skin? No. You wanted a fight. Now you've got one. And you lost. Titan finally released Cole at Maya's sharp command. The gang leader stumbled back, his pride wounded far more than his arm. He glared at her, but the fear in his eyes betrayed him. For the first time, he understood. This woman wasn't someone to target. This isn't over, he spat, though his voice lacked conviction. Yes, it is, Maya replied firmly, because tonight, the whole neighborhood saw who you really are. And indeed, the neighbors had seen. Doors opened, people stepped out, murmurs rippled through the street. The power dynamic had shifted, not because of violence, but because Maya stood her ground, backed by loyalty and courage. The gang, once so bold in the shadows, now retreated into the night, their reputations shattered, their hate exposed. Maya knelt beside Titan and Shadow, her hands trembling as she stroked their fur. "Good boys," she whispered, her voice breaking with relief. They looked up at her with steady eyes, unshaken, ready for whatever would come next. From that night on, things changed. The stairs in the neighborhood carried something new, not just suspicion, but respect. Maya had faced the hate head-on and refused to bow. Her strength and the unwavering loyalty of her dogs had turned fear into power. Titan and Shadow became legends on that street, guardians not just of Maya, but of justice. And Maya herself became a symbol, a woman who faced hate and showed that courage and love will always stand taller than fear and prejudice. Because in the end, hate may roar loudly, but it is loyalty, love, and unbreakable courage that always wins. Call to action. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it, spread it, and let others see the power of courage over hate. Subscribe to this channel, join our growing family, and together, let's keep telling stories that inspire strength, hope, and unity. Remember, hate divides, but love and courage unite. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and never back down.